Hello everyone, this is Harsh, and again I'm here with one of the live session on how to crack AI/ML interviews. This is our ongoing series of our cracking AI/ML interviews. We are bringing different industry experts on the table to help you crack the interviews in the current scenario of data science and AI/ML. Today we will be welcoming Swagata on the panel. So I'm bringing her up. Hey, hi, Swagata.
Hey
So,
Harsh.
yeah. So, a little bit about Swagata. Swagata is Carnegie Mellon University alumni. She had been a researcher for the Stanford Deep Data Research Center and now currently working as principal data scientist at Boomi. Hi, Swagata, and welcome to the show.
Hey, hi Harsh. Thank you so much for the warm welcome and thank you all for joining. So, today I'm going to talk about how to crack AI ML interviews. And yeah, if you could share the presentation.
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. So, yeah, hello everyone. I'm Swagata Ashwini. I am a principal data scientist for Boomi. For those who are not aware, Boomi is a integration platform service where customers or users can come and drag and drop. There is a tool and create their apps and data together. So, next slide. So, a little bit about myself. I am originally from India. I was doing my undergrad in computer science from Manipal. I graduated in 2015, and I, like most of us, I chose computer science because I didn't have much clarity on what to do at that time. So computer science seemed like a safe option. After graduation, I actually worked for Deloitte for 2 years, and I was working in the cybersecurity space. I didn't like it at all, so I decided to pursue my master's. And luckily, I got an admit from Carnegie Mellon University, which is one of the most reputed universities in the data science space. I did my master's from Carnegie Mellon, graduated in 2018, and back in 2018, data science and machine learning was still in the nascent stage where there were not that many rules like there is today. So it was really hard getting my first job, but luckily I was able to get a associate data scientist role for a company called Highmark. They are into healthcare, health insurance, and my experience there was very interesting because I was one of the first data scientists of the organization, and the organization has 10,000 plus people, lot of data to play with because they have medical data of so many patients. So it was very interesting to work through that, create many machine learning models, and learn a lot of NLP during that experience. After my Highmark experience, I decided to change jobs because I was in Pittsburgh and I wanted to move out of that area. So I prepared a lot, and this is where I got to know a lot about how to prepare for interviews because I extensively interviewed during the 2020 pandemic time. I had a lot of time, like most of us. So I prepared a lot and got a job with Amazon. And like Amazon or any of these fang mang companies, there is a very streamlined process of interviewing, and I learned a lot on how to crack many of them during this phase. During my Amazon experience, I extensively worked on time series forecasting. My work was to work with managers within the company of different fulfillment centers to guide them on what inventory they have currently and what they should order next, and what they have a shortage of, what they have surplus which they can probably ship to other fulfillment centers. So those kind of analytics using the time series models. Moving on, I decided to switch jobs again. And this time, the reason was not location. This time, the reason was there was too much work at Amazon. And it really depends on what team you are in, it's not the case everywhere. So, next slide. I decided to work for a company called Boomi. And the reason was also because I wanted to work for a smaller company where I could have more impact. And my current role at Boomi, I'm working as a principal data scientist. And I am not just building AI ML products, but I'm also in charge of kind of leading the effort, like what to build next, and how to integrate your machine learning products with other teams, how to be the voice of AI and ML for the company. Apart from my role at Boomi, I also do a volunteering job where I lead the chapter for Women in Data, which is a global organization for promoting data roles amongst women. That can mean educating women of what data roles are, guiding them, helping them with interviews, uh, networking, organizing events so that they could learn and they could feel be a part of the community. Okay, so now coming to how to crack these interviews. So the first and most important aspect is the resume that you send. And most often we have just one resume that we keep, and we just apply it to n number of roles. So the first idea and first suggestion I got, and even that worked for me, was you have to tailor your resume a little bit for each role that you're applying, because every role has certain set of requirements, and most of the times these resumes are either reviewed by HR who take less than 10 seconds, or some most days it's actually done by a bot or like an AI powered HR assistant or something like that. So they do like a lot of keyword matching and those kind of things. So you don't want to uh, not be shortlisted in this round at least. So make sure that you tailor make your resume, making a little bit of changes for each particular role that you're applying. I know it's a lot of work, but it's totally worth it. Rather than focusing on applying for 100 jobs, if you do it on 10 quality jobs that you really want and tweak it a little bit, that would go a long way. So if we could zoom in into this resume a little bit, this is like a sample resume, and what I want everybody to do is take a look at this for 1 minute and throw it in the chat or somewhere. What do you think is wrong with it? What can be improved in this resume?
I guess they will be able to see the enlarged view because we are in a screen setup, so that's why they are not able. We are not able to
Zoom
see
in.
it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, no worries. So I can guide what is wrong with this. So, firstly, this is a decently well made resume, not much is wrong, but how can we improvise it? If we go to the next slide. So, firstly, whenever you are placing the dates and location, it's always a good practice to have it on the side. And rather than in this resume, that person has two panels where on the left side he has a picture and then has a skills section. It's typically not a good practice to have a resume like that. The best practice is to have everything in one panel so that it's easy for any user to read through it in a flow. So maybe the best idea would be to making that skill section at the bottom and moving all the dates on the right hand side, so it's very easy to learn, to read. And also keeping the font size between 8 to 10. So that's the best practice, so that you don't want your font size to be too small, at the same time not too large for anybody who's reading your resume. Next slide. Yeah, so as I mentioned, like the skill section should go to the bottom. And also when you have your skills section, it's important to dissect it into categories. For example, if you're a one section could be technical skills or languages. If you're applying for if you know more than one language, you can place like C, Java, Python, all these languages. And then if you know databases, that could be another section. If you know some cloud based services, like you can say AWS. So segregating it into different sections makes it very easy and easy for the person to read. Next slide. Yes. Also, if you have like soft skills, if you want to add soft skills, if you're applying for a senior position, that would also help. Like you're a good leader, time management, and those kind of skills also add value if you're applying for a senior role. And also if you have any certifications, if you've done any certification from Udacity or Stanford, or any online courses, any graduate degrees, any certifications, they are also very good to add. Also, if you want to add your Kaggle link, if you're active on Kaggle, if you've done any personal projects that have websites, throw in as much as you can in the last bottom section. Next slide. Yeah, and this is the most important part. So, any bullet that we are mentioning in our experience needs to follow a star format. Next slide. So, STAR basically stands for situation, task, action, and result. So, when you're explaining a bullet, explaining something that you did, first of all, try to focus on what your contribution was, because most people are interested in what you did rather than what the entire company or the entire team did. And putting it in a situation, task, action, result helps them to understand everything about it. So the situation could be that you implemented a machine learning model that predicts whether somebody has cancer or not. That is the situation. And the action you took was, build the model, and the result was that it improved the accuracy by maybe 10% from the prior system. So you have to put it in a way that you implemented a machine learning model that predicts cancer for so and so group, that improved the accuracy by 10%. That way you're covering the situation, the task, what action you took, and what was the result. So that's the way you should structure each and every bullet. Yeah, moving on. So that is all about resume. So once you have a really good resume, and you make sure that you don't get rejected in the HR screening, because they literally spend less than 10 seconds, they should be able to see some metrics and bullets. Okay, I see 10% accuracy improvement, put 50% ROI, some metrics. So every bullet should have some sort of metric, and you can make it in bold. So whenever, let's say I'm a HR person, I take a look at your resume, and within 10 seconds I should be able to see three or four bullets which I can say, okay, I can remember these were the improvements that you made. After you get through the resume screening, whether it's done by a person or a bot, you should be able to clear that. The next would be the actual interviews. And more often than not, most big companies have a standard template that they follow, and mostly the first round is usually a tech screen. And the tech screen round is either done using a platform called HackerRank. If you're not familiar with it, I would highly recommend practicing some examples and coding questions on that. Also, lead code. So lead code is typically thought of as more for software engineers, but more often than not, if you do all the easy and medium questions on lead code, especially for like arrays and a list and those kind of data structures, you will definitely be able to crack this interview. So I would highly recommend solving at least the easy and medium ones. And even data camp has really good questions on data manipulation. So the tech screen typically is a combination of one or two algorithmic regular software engineering question, and then there could be one or two data manipulation question if they want to assess you on your data abilities. So usually they give you 1 hour, they ask you to share your screen, and they give the link of any of these platforms. It could be HackerRank, or it could be CoderPad, any of the platform that these companies use, and they'll ask you to code. So after you crack this interview, and this is typically the most easiest round to crack, but it needs a lot of practice. The next round, in many cases, especially with Apple and Meta, is the take home assignment. In the take home assignment, they will give you a data set, and this is relatively the harder one, although it sounds like easy because you get to take it home and you have time to do it. But this the reason this round is difficult is because there is no right answer to it, right? Like, you don't know whether what you're doing is right or wrong. So they give you a assignment where they say, hey, this is the data set, and this is what you need to do. So again, let's take a simple example where they say, hey, I have given you a data set of, let's say we are building a model for Apple, and they say, Apple wants to increase their sales in, let's say, in India. and they will say, here is the data set of my prior sales. Now analyze this data, come up with some model which would help me predict in which locations I should target in India to generate more sale. Now that is a very open-ended question. Like, so you not only need to decide what problem you're solving, you need to decide what model to build, how do you do the feature engineering, how do you evaluate, what metrics to choose. Basically, you are doing an end-to-end project. And also when you have to demo it, you don't want to show them like a notebook or something which is very code heavy. You want to show them which is visually nice to understand. So you also have to create some like an app using Streamlit or some other tool where the team can understand what you've done. So once you finish this take home assignment, you will submit your code, your whatever analysis you have done, and they will assess it and they will schedule a follow up meeting with you where they will ask you to walk through your presentation, walk through your code, what you have done, why you chose this particular approach. And this is where it gets really tricky because they will grill you and ask you every possible questions, and that's where this is one of the hardest rounds, and this is where most candidates get rejected. So let's say you were able to crack this, and usually it's done by a panel of data scientists or seniors. So it's not just one person who's interviewing you, it could be four or five. So once you crack this round, the next would be the final interview, and this really depends on the company. Most companies, big companies, have like four or five interviews wherein they'll have one behavioral, one would focus on the machine learning theory, one would focus on your experience so far, and one could be again like a technical round where they go with like a whiteboarding session asking you some coding questions. You will be mostly asked to write pseudocode in this round, but it could be the complete code as well. So that is the final interview, and it really depends on the company. But more often than not, some companies also focus a lot on probability and statistics. So all that comes as part of ML theory, and yeah, that's the typical structure: 3 rounds, and then you know the result. Moving on to the next slide. So we talked a lot about the resume, how to prepare the resume, and what typically happens in the interview. So some of the resources that really helped me and a lot of data scientists that I know are these. And I swear, like, there are so much material online these days. It's very difficult to find what to do, how to get started. And for me, what worked is sticking to very limited resources and just focusing on that. So what I did was I was active on Kaggle, and Kaggle was really good in giving you a very good platform to. They have all the data sets, they have all the problems that you can participate in, and it also gives you a challenge kind of environment. So you feel a little bit competitive and try to build these notebooks. So Kaggle, if for those of you who are not familiar, is a platform provided by Google where you have a problem, a challenge, and anybody can participate in that challenge. They have the data set, they have sample notebooks, and they all they need to do is come to that platform, use the data set, solve the challenge, and if they win, they can win a cash prize. Or as they go forward, they'll get some points and they'll move up the leaderboard. So it's a great resource because it is competitive. At the same time, you learn a lot through actually doing this. Another resource is of course Medium articles. So rather than what I believe has worked for me is, rather than watching long YouTube content and enrolling yourself in courses, which is also a great thing to do, but if you want to learn quick concepts, it's better to start with Kaggle. Try to code and try to solve the challenge, and whenever you get stuck, only searching for that problem on Medium, and not just doing a Google search, because Medium literally has a very great collection of articles that literally solves everything. So these are the resources that really helped me, and I think this may not work for you, but it's good to have a very limited set of resources and just focusing on that. Okay, so next, moving on to actual strategies that will help you land at least an interview. So most importantly, a lot of people go to the website and apply to that role, and more often than not, that doesn't get even seen for a long time. So what actually works is one of these three steps, and cold emails on LinkedIn is one of the strongest, I would say, because you might think that sending emails, or by cold emails I mean like reaching out to people on LinkedIn. They could be hiring managers, they could be people who are actually working in the company that you're interested in. You might have to do it hundreds and hundreds of times to actually get even 10 replies. So the ratio is very less, but it is the most effective way. That's how I got many of the job offers that I had. So just create a template, like, hey, this is I am so and so person, I'm looking for a job, this is my resume, and this is the job I'm interested in, would you be able to share with your manager? If you don't say that, can you refer me, and you say that share it with your manager, that person could actually share your resume, if your resume is good, if your experience is good, directly to the hiring manager or somebody who's in charge. And that way you don't have to go through the referral route or the actual process, because when you apply to a job and hundreds of people apply to a job, it takes a long time to actually get your resume viewed by the hiring manager. So the second way is most effective, but yes, you have to send in lot of emails, and the ratio of sending and actually getting a response is pretty low, but this way is very effective. The third way is networking events and meetups. So there are a lot of meetups where you can actually meet people who are hiring. So this is also a very effective way. The only non-effective way is just going to the website and applying. That most often than not doesn't get noticed. So use one of these strategies, especially the LinkedIn strategy. That would definitely help you land at least an interview. Okay, so that's pretty much all I have. I can open the floor for any questions, anything that
Yes.
you would like to know.
So yeah, so we have question from Tapan. Tapan is saying Python, SQL, NumPy, Pandas, Matplot, Seaborn, uh, machine learning, data analysis, data visualization, statics, and predictive modeling. Is it enough or not for getting the first-hand job?
First hand job, definitely. I would say for first hand job, if you are really good at all the like NumPy, Pandas, and really good at data manipulation, visualization is not the most important, I would say, for the entry level job. Focus on NumPy and Pandas and be really good at it. Like, I should be able to give you any data set and ask you to do anything in it, and you should be able to do using those libraries. And SQL, definitely, you should not be restricted to just basic SQL. You should be able to write Windows functions and all that, the advanced SQL as well. And also, if you have a little bit familiarity with any of these cloud providers, that would be a very good add-on, but definitely not a mandatory thing. Like if you have worked on AWS or Azure or any of these cloud providers, that would be a very nice to have, but not mandatory.
Okay. Uh, is Python excelling is in Python will be the right thing to do, or any other language?
Python, in this day and age, Python is definitely more versatile, and most companies prefer Python compared to R or any other language. So focus on Python.
Chirag is saying that, ma'am, please tell, is there any experience must be in the candidate? Because when he used to apply to any company, they want experience from the candidate. And please guide that how to get into the first hand job.
Yeah, that is true. Most of the data science jobs expect you to already have experience. So, how you can tackle that if you're just entering the industry is, if you have any internship, put that in your experience. Even if you don't have any internship, what you can do is do projects, and make sure that those projects are very end to end, and you create like some sort of website or something that you can mention. Put that also in your experience, because what they want to see is whether you have built something end to end. And as an entry level person, you might not have that experience, but if you can put any internships, any college projects that you did, any other personal projects that you did, put all of that in your experience section.
Great. Um, Ritansh is asking, we have to start our data scientist journey as data analyst or can join data scientist as a fresher also.
I would say keep your options open for both. When I was looking, I was applying for data scientist, data analyst, product analyst, data engineer. I had a different resume for each because once you get into any data role, it's easy to pivot. And most companies don't want to hire a fresher as a data scientist. So you can come in as a data analyst, product analyst, data engineer, associate data scientist, junior data scientist, and then pivot and go to the actual senior data scientist or data scientist role.
Teja Reddy is asking, please tell me how to find projects on Kaggle, which we can add on resume.
So once you go on the Kaggle website, um, create your ID and log into it, and to find the most amazing projects, I would just look up the number of people who have participated in it. So the more the number of people who have participated, and also importantly check for the dates. You don't want to do something which was 5 years ago. You want to do something which is the latest, like in the past 1 or 2 years, and check like how many participants are actually participating in it, and take a very common use case. Like for example, to start off with, you can see the cancer prediction use case, house pricing prediction use case, because those are very common and very relatable. Housing prices, cancer prediction, these are very common use cases. And the data set is widely available and most people are familiar with it. Don't take up something which is unfamiliar industry or something which a lot of people don't know about. So you can pick any project as long as it's up to date, as long as most people have participated in it, and think of it like as a common use case which anybody can understand.
Tirupati is asking, Madam, I'm working as a teacher and my age is 40. Can I change my career to data science?
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no requirement that you need to start at a certain age or start from a particular field. I know people who have pivoted to data science at a very late stage in life and have been doing really well. So you can absolutely start from scratch and get into it.
Mitesh is asking, since the data science domain has expanded in multiple fields like NLP, CV, Gen AI, LLM, DL, ML, and not everyone is exposed to all these, how to project yourself to the interviewer?
Yeah, it's important to pick a niche. So, for example, I picked up natural language processing because you can't do everything. You can't be a CV expert, you can't be a natural text expert. You have to pick a particular niche, but basic understanding has to be there. Like, you need to be very good with machine learning, predictive analytics, and NLP. Sorry, and deep learning concepts, and need to have built some basic models on this. And then you can pick a niche. Like if you're interested in computer vision, then you would focus more on those projects. But you need to have the basics at least really good, and work 1 or 2 years as a data scientist without focusing on one particular niche, and then you can pivot to NLP or CV or robotics or anything.
Yeah. Rohit is asking, I'm searching for a job from last 3 months. I have only 9 month of experience. I don't receive any calls from the companies. So should I have to wait for minimum 1 year or I should start searching from now?
No, no, no. You don't need to wait for any. I think the way you're approaching applying could be, there could be something lacking on that end. So I would say like focus on the resume that I mentioned. You can use online tools for like keyword matching. Make sure that your resume has all those keywords that the role requires, and make sure you use those online AI tools that do like some keyword syncing. And there are many tools like that. So make sure that your resume has all the keywords that the job has, at least 90% of that. And you don't need to wait anymore. You just need to use those strategies and be very focused full time on that part.
Bala Subramaniam is asking how to practice data manipulation. Where to practice, basically, he is asking.
So I would start with Data Camp. So they have like data manipulation challenges. So first step would be go to the NumPy, like just Google NumPy and Pandas documentation and read through their basic functionalities. Once you have an idea of how these basic functions work, I would just go to Data Camp and see some challenges. try hands on. So data camp gives you the platform itself, so you don't need to do it on your own end. You go to data camp and look for some data manipulation challenges and start doing it. So then whenever you get stuck, you can just go back, Google, come back, and that's the best way to learn.
Is Streamlight is enough? Siddesh is asking.
Yeah, Streamlit is good for publishing or like visualizing your model results. There's also another app called Gradio, and you can also visualize in Tableau or any of the data visualization platform. But Streamlit is one of the best. So if you know that, you're good.
Great. Um, Tapan is asking, is deep learning, NLP, and TensorFlow is necessary for data science?
In this day and age, yes, it you should at least know basics of it. Yes.
Bala Subramaniam is asking where to get a good project topic to add in our CV.
So, like I mentioned, you can start with Kaggle, and Kaggle has really good projects, and you can look for projects which are up, like most new and most people are working on it. Those are the best projects to start off with. If you are lucky, you can actually send emails, and this is how I got the role at Stanford. You can send out emails to universities that you're interested in learning, and if they have any project, sometimes they pair you up with PhD students and let you work on a project, but that is difficult to get. So I would say start with Kaggle, and also on the side try emailing universities if they have any opportunity, or you can pair up with them on some project.
Yeah, we are also bringing up some few projects. So stay tuned. We will be giving it up from our side also. Uh, Sumit, I have 2 point is saying that I have 2.5 years of experience as SDE,
Mhm.
and I have been looking to switch to data science domain. Should I look for internship or look into DA jobs directly? I have working experience on Python, SQL, and have been doing DS self study for past 6 months.
Right. So I know a lot of people who want to switch from SDE to data roles, and the most common way is to find something within the company that is the fastest and most effective. And the way you can do it is start pivoting to in your existing role if you can take up, and if you work with data people in the organization, you can try to pair up with them and see if you can do something, a little bit of software, little bit of data, and slowly try to pivot in the data role. That is the most fastest way. If you're unable to do that, going for an internship after a full-time job is not the best idea. You can add some, you can do something on the side and add that to your resume, like you've done these side projects while you were working for so and so company, and start looking for a job directly. It will be nice if you can do something in your present job that is remotely related to data science, so that adds value.
Siddesh is saying that is web scraping an important skill to hone, or they provide data in files, or we have to search.
If you're doing Kaggle, they'll provide the data. And if in real life working situation, it depends on what kind of project you are doing. In some companies, data engineer do all the hard work and give you the data. But in some companies, you would need to do a little bit of web scraping. I wouldn't focus a lot on it because it's not one of the most important skills companies look for, and you can learn something on the go, rather than focus on the data science part as well only.
Okay, so Smith is an Stanford alumni, and he is asking that he has completed 2020 BTech in computer science with machine learning in 2023. So give me a roadmap to get a job as ML engineer at USA startup from India. I mean, just to get into a job, basically.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay, so basically, if you've just finished, I think you finished in 2023, right? And I'm assuming you don't have experience. So as a fresher, again, like I would be saying that don't get fixated with just ML engineer. Be open to explore data analyst, data scientist, data engineer. Create separate resumes for each of them rather than just focusing on ML engineer. Of course, you can switch roles once you get into one role, and yeah, use the same strategies that I mentioned, like focus on having the keywords matched on your resume, network on LinkedIn, find people who can refer you, and once you get your first role entry, and then you can pivot to ML engineer or whatever role you want to.
How to search for internship? I guess you have already answered this through LinkedIn and all in your presentation also. So I guess this is already answered. Smith is asking, can you give us project definition, which helped which can help me to add in resume?
I can definitely share. I think this is a common recurring question. I can share some good Kaggle projects that because people are having a hard time figuring out what project to pick. So I can share some links of projects that are really high impactful and that you can follow on. I can send it to Harsh and maybe he can send it to you later on.
And also we have bundled a lot of learning repositories for you. So we will be launching it soon for you. You can utilize it for free. You need not to worry about it. Um, Tirupati is again asking, I already told I'm married and old 40, I have commitment now. How can I do internship? Basically, he is married and 40 years old, and how can, I mean, while switching from teaching to data science, how he's supposed to do the internship now? Uh,
So you, yes, I understand that, you know, it's difficult when you have other life commitments, but you can start off with not just doing something on the side first. So build your resume strong enough to actually land something. So start off small, like maybe you can devote 1 hour a day on Kaggle or doing some projects on your own before you build a very solid profile. Take 2 months while continuing your day job, and once you have a little bit of good content and experience with data science, then you can actively start applying. It definitely is a time consuming role when you're working full time and also looking for a job and also learning, but it's going to be just for your first job, and then once you get the job it's going to be straightforward from there.
okay. I'm sharing the our community link over here. Join it. Whatever the Sogata is going to share, I will be sharing it in the this community only. Uh, Now the Gen AI have the popularity. Whether I need to learn everything from basic like ML, then DL, and then go to Gen AI, or can I learn Gen AI straightly? Because now most of the company focus to build their own LLM models for their need. What I would do in that case?
Yeah, that is true. But I would recommend still going through the traditional route because you will be able to understand and how to build these LLMs in a much better way if you have really good fundamental knowledge rather than just jumping into these LLMs, because it's state of the art now. But given how things are changing in 2 months or 3 months, probably this all would be automated and your learning would not be any useful. So I would recommend go through the regular flow, learn ML, learn DL, and then go to LLM. It's time consuming, but in the long run, it will pay more benefit to you.
Okay. Um, So all those who are asking to connect with Swagata on LinkedIn, I will be sharing her profile link in the community itself. You can always link, click and join followers and connect with
Yeah,
her.
absolutely.
Idris is asking, please, can you tell me how to start to build a chatbot like GPT? Uh,
Yes, I have a blog on that I wrote. I will also share that in what I share with Harsh.
yeah. I guess we are done for the day. There are no further questions. And it was very nice talking to you, Swagata, and you have patiently answered all the questions. One last call, if anybody is having any question, uh, please write, or we are about to end the session now.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out on LinkedIn and ask any other questions which we couldn't talk today.
Yeah. And if you are going to search Swagata on LinkedIn directly, you can find it on the top because she is
Yeah.
trending in the
Yeah.
top 10.
Also, it's a
Top,
unique name, hopefully. Yeah, but you should be able to find me.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, I guess we are done. Thank you, Swagata. It was nice talking to you and interacting with you. Hope this session was insightful for all of our students and the learners. Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.